My next speaker is a brand custodian at Oberoi Realty. She's driving its positioning as an ultra luxury brand with over 3 decades of experience in marketing. She has worked with some of the most respected luxury brands like ITC Hotels, Oberoi Hotels, and Taj Hotels. At Knight Frank, her role involved marketing brand residences like Aman, New York, Waldorf Astoria, New York, OWO London, and Atlantis, Dubai. Her extensive background in the hospitality and the luxury lifestyle and private membership club industries enable valuable consumer insights when developing brand narratives and enduring brand value. Please give it up for Ms. Serena Menzies, Senior Vice President, Brand Marketing and Corporate Communication, Oberoi Realty. Thank you so much for joining us over here. My next speaker is a chartered accountant and MBA by qualification with an experience of over 18 years. He leads Lighthouse PropTech, a tech-enabled one-stop solution provider for high-net-worth individuals for luxury real estate backed by TurboStar and Dabur Family Office. He's also on board of listed companies like Arcade Developers Limited and Sanco Technologies Limited as an independent director. Please give it up for Mr. Sumesh Mishra, founder, Lighthouse PropTech. Please clap it up loudly for Mr. Mishra. Thank you. My next speaker over here brings over 24 years of extensive and incredible experience in architecture and design in the 15 years since founding TMDS. I'm going to be calling it Tushar Mystery Design Studio. He has successfully executed a wide range of projects, including residences, aspirational flats, hotels, and commercial spaces. And not to forget the fact that his firm has delivered work all across Maharashtra, Gujarat, Rajasthan, and Delhi, with a growing international clientele in Dubai, Belgium, and Cameroon. Known for his mission-driven and ever-evolving design philosophy, he continues to explore new creative horizons in the field. Please give it up for Mr. Tushar Mistry, everybody. Can I have Mr. Mistry over here on stage? Thank you. Pleasure to have you once again. My next speaker over here, as the director of Gulshan Group, she's been redefining luxury living by seamlessly integrating sustainability, wellness, and creating modern-day cases nestled around thriving communities. Under her leadership, Gulshan Group has set new benchmarks when it comes to eco-friendly luxury housing. An absolute testament to this commitment is the acclaimed Gulshan Dynasty, which achieved the distinction of being NCR's first platinum-rated green home certified by IGBC. I'm talking about the one and only Yukti Nagpal, visionary leader and director from Gulshan Group. Thank you so much, Ms. Nagpal, for joining us over here. May I request Ms. Menzies to sit over here as per the photo arrangement so that, you know, the aesthetics are aligned here. Thank you. So, Ms. Sharma, you have your timer right in front of you over there for your reference, and you can switch on the timer, and over to you now. Thank you.
Am I audible? Yeah, hi. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be moderating this conversation today. So before we dive in, I would like to ask a very simple question. What does luxury really mean today? For a long time, the answer was fairly straightforward. It was about space, location, status. Today, buyers aren't just asking, how big is the apartment? They're asking something far more personal. How does this home makes me feel every day? Now, the conversation has shifted from what a home looks like to how it's experienced. Well, so that shift is exactly where branded residences come in, at the intersection of luxury, wellness, and lifestyle. What began as a global idea is now clearly taking shape in India. We see this through collaborations with hospitality brands such as Ritz-Carlton, St. Regis, Marriott, Four Seasons, and also design-led names like Philippe Starck and Elisa, where the brand influences how people live. Beyond aspiration and design, branded residences are also changing how homes are marketed, priced, and sold. Buyers today are far more informed and discerning at the point of decision. So the question before us is, how do we align global branded residence thinking with Indian consumer expectations, delivery realities, and commercial outcomes? Now, with that context, let's begin with the buyer's perspective. So my first question is to you, Yukti. With Gulshan Dynasty in Noida, you're developing luxury in a rapidly upgrading market. How are buyers redefining luxury today, especially around wellness and lifestyle?
Thank you for that. Luxury is something which is very subjective from a person to person. Everybody has their own definition, and yes, we have tried to, in real estate, standardize some parts of it. What Gulshan Dynasty essentially brought to the table was a more functional, a more practical way of living. Gulshan Dynasty tried to define a new meaning of luxury, which was above the fancy finishes and above the Italian marbles and above the brick and mortar. It tried to bring in some spaces that brought you back to life. And interestingly, when we started with the concept of wellness homes, it wasn't something that people were jumping at. Let me be very honest. It was like, what wellness? It sounds like a spa. Are you building a spa? What is it that you're doing? Cut to 5 years later, I have a development full of these 204 residents, and they really value the sun decks that we created. They really value the TFA units in their apartments. They value the open green spaces. They value the low density living, and they value farm to fork. And these are things that they did not know they would need. So I think luxury buyers today are not defining what luxury is, but are accepting and welcoming what you're offering. They are welcoming a newer way of life. They are welcoming a more functional living lifestyle. And that is where I think if the developers are listening and the buyers are welcoming, that exactly is what's shaping the market today.
That's well said. So rising expectations immediately also put pressure on brands. So this is for you, Serena.
Sure.
Branded residences today are no longer just about name association. In collaboration, like with Oberoi Realities 360 with the Ritz-Carlton, how does a brand tangibly and long-term value for residents beyond aesthetic prestige and initial brand recall?
So I'll take you through a little journey of how we conceptualize 360 West. As you would know, since you're in the market, 360 West was launched in 2014. The concept of branded residences and the concept of managed branded residences was almost non-existent at that time in this country. I think we just had Grand Hyatt and the Four Seasons in Grand Hyatt Mumbai and Four Seasons Bangalore that have service apartments. But the concept of branded residences had not yet entered into the market. That's when the thought of building something that that customers would never even imagine or not even conceptualize that you would be able to live in homes like this in Mumbai is what we had a vision for. Today, it's a very well-known concept. And one of the things, we have a long-term association with the Marriott International. And Vikas, who's the chairman, felt that the right brand for a project like 360 West would be the Ritz-Carlton because, of course, of its credibility and the strong brand name globally. However, the Ritz-Carlton Hotel stands on the same property, but the residences, because we are a well-known brand, Oberoi Realty, we went on a complete brand building exercise in 2014 and called the project 360 West, managed by the Ritz-Carlton. So it's a managed residence, and the services that you will actually experience would be meted out by the Ritz-Carlton. I think this is something that was conceptualized that people wouldn't have even imagined at that time. Today, it's very well known. The market has evolved. Today, you have the next generation buyers who are well-traveled, globally exposed, tech-savvy, want wellness and lifestyle to be right at their doorstep. They want their kids and their children to grow up learning sports, leisure, recreation, right where you are. And if all that is found in one particular ecosystem or a project, and if that's managed by great hospitality, And that is what, most of the other developments lack. And this is our unique selling proposition at 360 West, where the people who are experts in what they do, like the hospitality groups, if they can actually service your residences and your customers, that's a complete experience, which is an aspirational brand experience that we offer our customers.
Well said. So I think here it wouldn't be wrong to say that consistency is the new luxury, and maybe design becomes the language. From that perspective, Tushar, what do you think? Architecture often carries luxury quietly. Which design decision most influence daily comfort and well-being, even if residents never articulate them?
Hi, everyone. See, the marrying the culture is the most important aspect in when we call in for design perspective from a brand perspective. Brand has set norms, they have identity, they have palette ready with themselves. What we play with the personalized touch that a resident would want in there. Keeping the scantity or keeping the intent of the brand intact, not going too overboard. That's the most difficult situation comes as a designer, that we can't go too overboard, we can't go too underboard, and that's where the design involvement is something that it gets more crucial, because whatever we are Indians, we have certain style of hospitality that we give to people that come in house.
I agree.
And that's where, and the lifestyle, at the heart, we are all Indians, whether we're millennials or we come into a bracket which is lower to that. So brands set the rules, we break the rules at times to marry the cultures and the intent of the end user.
Okay, that's great. So, as you rightly said, that brand comes with a lot of guidelines, restrictions. A buyer is seeking personalization. It can really, really get very complex. And when you say that, yes, you do sometimes break those rules, how do you kind of navigate those challenges to ensure, the consumer or the end consumer's vision is kind of met? Is it very difficult, or you're able to navigate? Because I know working with brands is not really easy. So what are your views here?
See, when we talk of hotels, that point of time it's not too difficult because you are making it for mass.
True.
You're making it very generalized. When we talk of personalized, even if I'm doing residence of a maybe a CEC or a show apartment for any of these brands, Oberoi's or maybe Prestige or anyone. So there is a generalized approach. If I'm making a house for you, if you're a brand owner, the perspective is completely 360-degree changed. It's an emotional journey that you carry along.
Sure.
So what you're managing is not the funds, what you're managing not the brand. What you're managing is the emotion that is involved in a residence. And that journey is a lifelong journey. So you become part of that family, you become part of their lifestyle, you become part of the sophistication. Everything is calculated with the norms that you have to follow. So if there is a trust of your client in you, you can balance both the worlds together. And that balancing is most difficult.
Absolutely, I totally agree. And that reflection of the personality of the buyer and end user is
Of
very,
course,
very
of
important. So
course.
that's very critical here. Coming back to you, Yukti, as a developer, how challenging is it to balance wellness-led expectations with feasibility and delivery realities?
I don't see that as a big challenge per se. I mean, of course, there is definitely an increment of cost.
Sure.
When you're trying to bring these platinum certified construction architecture in place, and you'd be able to elaborate on that. But at the same time, I mean, so is the price of cement rising, but we haven't stopped construction. So I don't see it as a challenge. I see it as a need of today. If we are not careful about what we are developing, what impact it has on the environment, I mean, then we're not really the good caretakers of the cities and towns that we are developing. with that being said, in the past few years, I've just experienced a slight encouragement, not only from the government standpoint, but also from the buyer standpoint. They are demanding more sustainable buildings. They are demanding more energy efficient buildings and more thoughts that ensure a better future. For example, we had a meeting with our residents at Gulshan Dynasty, and we were talking about what to do with this extra space that we have left. You don't have enough pets. And what do you want to create? They're like, let's just build a large air purifier and make sure that we have the best AQI in the city. So with that kind of support, I think that we are headed towards a new era of real estate. With that collaboration from the government, from the buyers, I think what we are about to see is a beautiful green architecture coming into play.
So all of this meets the buyer at the transaction table, and that's where you come in, Sumesh. So from a transaction reality or a perspective, does a branded residence de-risk the purchase or make buyers more discerning?
Yeah, of course. See, if you see from the developer's perspective, what the developer gets on tying up with a branded player, and there are three different categories where the trends have been changing. So, for example, it started with design-led branded residencies in the form of a Versace or a Trump branded residencies initially. Then it moved on to hospitality branded residencies with Ritz-Carlton, Fairmont, St. Regis, so on and so forth. And now we've seen the emerging trend of wellness, longevity, led residencies coming up. So for a developer, it brings a lot of credibility on table, a differentiation in terms of positioning their product, and the discussion with the buyer moves from per square footage to what value you are bringing on table for them. And from the customer perspective, and we've seen again, the demand from a millionaire versus a billionaire is different. For example, a millionaire looks for more of hospitality services, or something where he's well traveled and he wants his amenities, his standard to match his building, or his community to match international standards. So that is what a millionaire would look for. A billionaire looks for more security. He looks for something like, as Yukti said, more from the health perspective, how you can improve the AQI, how you can help them in providing better amenities, and the latest, the trend, which is to manage your mental health better, your gut health better, you sleep well, you breathe well, green areas, open areas. So on and so forth. So yes, for a customer perspective, it definitely gives you a snob value that yes, I am paying a big money for getting the right branded residency with the right amenities in place, right services in place, and something which shows that I have arrived in life. So yes, branded residency adds a lot from a customer's mindset as well.
Great. Also, based on your Lighthouse Bandra Bay report, which is very, very interesting, what is the biggest shift in buyers' expectations from branded or hospitality-led residences today?
So, again, Bandra Bay, when we thought of Bandra Bay, we were doing something at Bandra Reclamation with several developers. And we realized that more often than not, obviously real estate is driven by location, location, location. But along with the location, you also need to, communicate the story around the connectivity, the amenities, the open areas, the green areas, and there's something for every age group in the family. Once that communication is given to the audience, I think the decision making becomes easier. That is what we saw with Bandra Bay. Now, it was known as Bandra Reclamation always. And a lot of people felt that it is a LIG, that's a low-income group, or a high-income group, or a middle-income group. I think it's so. It was always perceived as a low-income group or a middle-income group area. But when we got all the 7 developers who were, developing projects there to come on the same platform and communicate this story, that this location, which is Bandra Reclamation or Bandra Bay as we call it now, is located in the center of the city. The location is right next to BKC on one side, and on the other side you have the Worli Sea Link, Bandra Worli Sea Link, which connects you to Worli within like 2 minutes. So the location is great. Out of a 100-acre complex, almost 45 to 50 acres is green area, open area, or playgrounds. You have the best school, you have the best hospitality services. Then MHADA is coming up with the best of, water management, waste management, sewage lines. So that story had to be communicated. Once we rebranded the entire area, where all the developers, the planning authority, and the guardian minister, they all came on the board and they communicated this story. We have seen that in the last 3 months, where we used to have like 25, 30 walk-ins a week across these 7 projects. Now that has moved 4 times as of last week. When we match the data or we try to get that data of walk-ins, automatically the interest quotient and the storytelling has become easier for everyone. And now the customer has more believability in that story. Likewise, similar to a branded story, wherever a branded player comes in, the customer knows that the due diligence has been done. A global brand will come only when he knows that the credibility of the developer is right and they can add real value. So similarly, I think we saw success at the Bandra Bay.
Well, that's great. So I think when we started and what I'm really hearing is about open spaces. So, earlier, whenever luxury, we would say, okay, my size of the apartment, what are my fit outs, what's my flooring, but I think that narrative is really changed now. People need open spaces. It's completely redefined. That's very interesting because I did, Yukti spoke about it, Tushar, you did mention, so yeah, great. I have a question for you, Serena. Marketing branded residences balances aspiration with credibility. How do you ensure the launch promise remains authentic in everyday living?
Yeah. So like I said before, when we launched 360 West, it was very important to communicate to the market and to people who are aspirational and considering a home there to understand who the developer was. So the Oberoi Realty brand and the Oberoi name is synonymous with building quality homes and luxury homes. We are positioned as a luxury brand. I think that was very important to communicate. Although you would know that we did not actually market it, the way you would normally do. This was on a very select, invite-only strategy that we adopted formally. And I think the kind of customers and the level of customers that were gravitating towards this project were mostly industrialists, well-known celebrities, and people from the corporate high-end backgrounds. So when you believe in a brand, when you believe in a credible brand, you know what your money is buying. And I think taking that through is our responsibility as a developer to make sure that that promise that was made is kept, and you come up with an outstanding project, something that you would never imagine. One of the things I always talk about is in our days when we had Blackberries, of course there are very young people in the room, but when we had Blackberry, if you would ask somebody what kind of a phone would you like in the future, none of us here would have thought it would be something like an iPhone or a smartphone. But it was someone like Steve Jobs who had the vision for a phone like that. So that's the luxury market, that's the ultra luxury market. You have to wow the customer with your project. If it's not wow, it's not luxury.
Very well said. Coming back to you, Tushar, how do you balance strong brand guidelines with personalization, especially for millennials and young professionals, and maybe Gen Z to some extent?
I think dealing with Gen Zs or millennials is very easy.
Okay.
They
Especially
want
Gen
everything
Zs.
minimalist.
No, they want everything minimalist, and they are very sure. For 2 years, they are very sure.
They know what they want.
What they want for 2 years is very sure. So our span when we design, it is the cycle of maybe 1 year we complete the job, another year they enjoy, and then we get another job. So it's easier for us for dealing with.
So
and
you're making
millennials
more
are
money.
we are all millennials in a way, so we are
Sure.
quite sorted in a way. And because in the day-to-day life also we are dealing with our second generation, so we have married that, we have crossed that bridge somewhere in between. So it's not that difficult, but yes, they come with a lot of homework as well. If I want black, why I want black, which black, where black, all that is there in the list. It is very well sorted. So it's not a big struggle for us. But luxury, if I say the redefinition of luxury is not only the visuals.
Sure.
All five senses have to be given that due when we talk of luxury these days. So whether it is a very Gaudi style design or it is a very minimalistic, maybe Scandinavian design, everything has to have all five senses very well taken care of.
Also, from a longevity perspective, how do you design spaces that feel contemporary today, yet timeless and relevant 10 or 20 years from now?
See, what is relevant? Nothing is relevant. Relevant is today what we are experiencing. So, if the palette, as every brand, if you see, the palette is very silent. What you fill up is the accessories, what you fill up is the colors with your artwork. So that makes it more longevity in the way it is. I mean, you can pull off that design for very prolonged period. If the palette, the civil work, or you see backdrop is not too overpowering, then you have, because trends changes. Even phone changes every year. There is a new version. So there is nothing relevance. Relevance is today. What you like today is relevant.
Sure.
So those were the time people used to make houses for 20 years, 10 years. Now it is reduced to 5 years. Soft furnishing, we redo furnishing every year before Diwali. So that's the trend.
Can I ask you a question though? Has it ever happened with you that while designing, like the starting point of say a Gen Z or a millennial's preference has completely changed by the time your design is complete? Has that ever happened with you?
Not really.
Not really?
Not really. Because they come for first meeting and they come when the thing is ready, because they are into a lot of delulus and a lot of other jobs that they have to do throughout the day. And the
Interestingly, I have experienced that quite a bit, you know, when in our in Gulshan Dynasty, we offered customization for the entire apartment, like you could change your interiors completely. And we did notice that from the day of purchase and from the day of selection of their design to say 3 to 4 months, the day of execution is complete. Like now we don't like this. Can we turn it around? And that I thought would be a practical problem you would also be facing.
Not much. It happens on the parents' level.
Okay.
So, you
Maybe
know,
I'm dealing with the parents.
So, you know, we always say that the next gen buyer doesn't want his home to look like his parents' home. He wants minimalism, he wants a lot of space around
believe
him.
me, 8 years kid, they don't want pinks and blues in their bedrooms.
Yeah.
It's more mature.
No, I agree.
And they don't have too many requirements also. Like we don't want TV in the room. We are happy with, we don't watch television. Everything is on the laptop or a phone or an iPad. They are readers. They read a lot. They do research work. So I think it's very evolved generation. We curse them, we criticize them, but how much I deal in my, field, they are easiest clients.
That's
So do you
definitely
like
insightful.
working more with the Gen Zs or their parents?
No, I like anybody who has money.
That's nice. That's well said. So since we are talking about money, at the transaction stage, Sumesh, what kind of personalization genuinely helps close the deal? And what tends to really complicate them?
So again, you know, as Tushar said, that various generation of buyers or you know the family members have different desires or different wants in terms of what do they want out of their you know personal space, what do they want as a community space. So you know, for example, you know the senior members of the family, they would want more open areas, more focused areas on their health, security. You know, the frequent travelers would want concierge services or hospitality services to manage their apartments in their absence. They would want, you know, concierge facilities for their travel, their hotel bookings, etc. Then for the Gen Z, what we are witnessing is that they want some customization in terms of their amenity areas. These days, for example, Oberoi 360, I remember, was the first one to have a bowling alley in their amenity space. So, you know, we saw people asking for, you know, Oberoi 360 mein bowling alley hai. ये प्रोजेक्ट में है क्या, वो प्रोजेक्ट में है क्या. So that became one of the talking points, and then one of the latest launches announced it as one of the first amenities. Then we saw, in the F&B segment, people ask for these days if there is a bar at the poolside, does it have a health menu, or it has a different menu for gut health. As simple as that. I mean, a lot of people want more clarity in terms of all the aspects of amenities and the services that your project is providing.
True. I have a question for you, Yukti. Do you think, from a developer's perspective, branded living is a short-term trend, or do you think it's a permanent shift in the luxury real estate space, both in India and globally?
See, globally, we've seen this trend stay for a very, very long time. I remember when I stayed in San Francisco, it was all over the place, and it still now is. So I think it depends on the offerings that we as developers are bringing to the table. If we continue to bring value with each of the offerings, this is a trend that is just elevating your level of living. So I don't see it as a short-term change. It really lies upon our prestigious shoulders to carry this trend as long as we can, by keep ensuring the value, keep tying up with the right brands. And like she said, it's our responsibility to ensure the launch promises are met and kept up until the last breath. So we continue to do that. We continue to keep building the same spaces.
Well said. Serena, what do you think? HNIs and UHNIs are far more discerning today. What are they truly seeking? Service, philosophy, privacy, wellness, or a seamless lifestyle ecosystem?
All of it, actually. So India is one of the 10 markets globally for branded residences. Like Yukti said, it is here to stay. Overseas, the developer is less known. It's usually the project or the property is owned by a consortium, and the developer is lesser known. But in India, the developers are very well known because they have built a legacy and a brand for themselves, whether it's in Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi. So the trust factor plays a very big role. We always say that this is one of the biggest check a customer will write. And when you write that big check, you want to give it to a credible brand.
True.
So, international and global hospitality brands want to work with credible and established players in India, because then their name and their credibility is at stake. Where the ultra HNIs and HNIs are concerned, that's just growing in India. The aspiration is growing. We all know that. We can see that. South Mumbai is going to soon look like New York, I think. I always say Mumbai is going to be left with only the rich people and the domestics. The rest of us, I think, have to migrate out of the city. People are demanding, and the customers are demanding a better lifestyle, a better, bigger, larger homes. We saw that especially after COVID, that people want bigger homes where they can live, work, play, the children can study. And what if you can just walk down to your gym? I mean, the 360 West has amenities. The clubhouse is 100,000 square feet, huge, with everything in it, with the bowling center, with the restaurants, with the bar, indoor swimming, outdoor swimming. So imagine living, with your wellness just at your doorstep. And we truly believe that the future of luxury is quiet. With all the noise around us, more and more people are seeking a quieter life when they come home with their family, what's around them. And quiet luxury is not ostentatious. Luxury all this while has been very ostentatious, bold, gold, loud. I think more and more people want a simpler life, a less complicated life.
It's more subtle now.
It's more subtle. And if we can, as developers, if we can provide that, at the end of the day, it's a home. And if you can create a home for your customers, which is peaceful, which is less stressful, less overstimulating, I think that would be a very well job done.
Great. So before our clock is ticking, and before we move to a Q&A, I would like to do a quick rapid fire. But this
Scary.
comes with, Yeah, but this comes without a hamper, okay? So, yeah. Okay, we'll see as it maybe Anurag is very generous, so we'll see if a hamper can be arranged. So my first question to you, Yukti, okay? Luxury today is more about Dash than anything else,
Convenience.
okay?
Convenience, always.
Right. Serena, one brand attribute buyers are willing to pay for a premium,
Lifestyle.
okay? Tushar, one global design idea India should adopt or avoid,
Proportions.
okay? Subesh, one thing buyers underestimate when buying branded homes.
I think again, lifestyle or convenience.
Great, I think that was quite interesting and you guys were too fast. I think my rapid was like really rapid. We'll open for Q&A. Anyone from the audience has any questions for our panel? Okay. Can someone pass the mic? Oh, I'll come down.
Thank you. It was a great talk and I enjoyed it. My question is like the luxury always whispers. So what exactly does it mean luxury always whispers?
You have this question for anyone who like to take this?
It's not, it's like, as you said, it's not a noise, it's just a whisper. So you have to be very, like attentive and see what luxury means. Like it's whisper, whatever you told, I think it's more or less what you said. It's about, peace and, like that.
Yeah, it should whisper. And I think we do not. So I think in the real estate industry, luxury has been, sorry for me saying this, but it has been really abused. This is the job of the marketeer or the brand marketeer, where you do not use words loosely. If you're going to use these words so that your project sells, your customer is not an idiot. He knows what is luxury and what is not. So you rightly said that. If you're a luxury brand, you will not scream.
Yes. Can someone please pass the mic there?
Can I just add this to you, sir? So, for example, you shout on top of or on the rooftop when you are launching a project. You have to communicate the vision. So at that time, luxury is talking aloud. But once the project is delivered and the experience is there, I think that is when the true luxury whispers. And that reflects in the future launches. So for example, once the Camellias were launched, then DLF never needed to make any noise. It was all whisper, right?
Very well said.
I shall add something there. So, in my experience of 25 years, the end user, there is a saying that we have made for them. It's a direct intent of not showing off, but indirect intent of showing off.
So, I have an example here to give. The hospitality industry, I come from the hospitality industry. You will never see them shouting and saying, come and stay in my hotel, or hoardings, and we are luxurious. But when you go there and you actually stay there, you stay at the Taj Hotel, or you stay at the Hyatt, or the Marriott, you feel the luxury, you experience it. So I think as real estate developers, we have to adopt that.
But coming from North India, though, I would like to slightly differ there.
Louder the better, isn't it?
I am from North India. Luxury used to be very, very loud. But in the last 5 years, we have seen it change. We've seen it stand out. We've seen it learn to whisper. And we've seen it not being translated by, like I said, fancy gold finishes, but the functionality it adds to your life. So I think along with the market, we as developers and we as Indians are also kind of sort of changing the definition, evolving with it as we go. It should whisper. It wasn't, though, 5 years ago.
So it's the Gen Zs, I think.
But
Gen Z
by the way,
thanks.
gold is not gone. It has become matte gold.
It's very expensive now.
Yes.
I would like to share a thought which is just being felt and realized and in the process of being imbibed and absorbed. The idea is to create a structure with a LEED's green energy certification, which includes open spaces, but it also gives that extra luxurious peace of mind factor to the occupants, signaling or signifying the importance that when the environment gives us so much, it is our moral duty to give back something rather than destroy what we are getting free of all the 5 elements. Would like your comments on that.
So I think lead building and lead certification are always there, and they have always been there from the last decade or so. It applies more for commercial buildings because the number of inhabitants or the usage in terms of the number of people utilizing a commercial building per square feet basis is higher on a commercial building side. So the rules are a bit stricter on that side. Residential buildings also have been following, especially all the larger developments have now been following the LEED or the platinum LEED norms set by the environment bodies and the local authorities. In terms, it's a given nowadays. You can't market it as such, but you try to highlight this to your audience that yes, we are using the windows, we are using the open areas in line with the required norms, and that's how you are rated in terms of your development as well.
We were in a meeting with the IGBC head, and she said that in this 2025 onwards, it is time that this needs to be communicated if it is being followed.
Yes.
But her observation was that there is a greater need to see that the execution of these norms are happening.
Yes.
So we need to, apart from being regulated, which is the way our mindset in our country works, it should come from us from within.
Yes.
So once you see it coming from within, I believe that is an extra dimension of luxury which we are imbibing and incorporating in our lives. That was my thought.
Absolutely, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sure, and just one question I have. I'm Pradeep Gidwani. Now, in real estate, I see there are a lot of documents involved: sale agreement, stamp duty, and NOC and share certificate. God forbid, by way of act of God, you lose those documents. When can we have this in the digital form, just so that we don't have the headache of keeping a track of the documents? Suppose somebody has multiple flats, he has to keep multiple documents, keep an eye on them. When can we have it in the digital form, this particular document?
Lighthouse PropTech is working on it. You will shortly listen from us.
Okay.
But yeah, all the larger developers, if you see, they have their apps. They have become, very strong on the CRM side. These days, the kind of communication that you have, even your registered document is scanned and provided to you within T+2 or a T+3 basis. So you always have your soft copies. Now the government of Maharashtra has also announced the tokenization and the digitization of all the documents. Obviously, it's a process, but you will shortly see the way we have air tickets and DigiYatra and all our important documents getting digitized. You will shortly see all your real estate documentation coming on these digi platforms.
But still don't lose your documents. Yeah. Put them away in the locker.
Take a loan, bank will take care of it.
Absolutely.
Okay, can we just take one last question?
Yeah, we'll take one last question. Just a request to keep it very quick. Yeah. Please direct the question to whom you want to ask. And
my question is to Serena. Serena, I just wanted to ask that there's too much of luxury supply in Mumbai. And I see, there is inventory hangover also. We always say that, things are getting sold, but, there is always a doubt in customers' mind and, people like me also, who's a channel partner in Mumbai. So what is the fact and, how do we believe in what's happening around?
Honestly, I can only speak for ourselves as a brand because the brand is so credible and we have a lot to offer in terms of the product, our architecture, the way we design. We're a design-led company. There's a great demand. And honestly, to tell you the truth, the demand is only increasing. People want better homes. Especially in South Mumbai, people have been living in those homes for such a long time. And they want better homes now, better facilities, better technology, better architecture. So I don't think there's an oversupply. There is enough demand and there will be enough of supply for that demand.
So I guess what we've heard today is that luxury has moved from being seen to being felt. And if there's one key takeaway from this session, it's in luxury living, consistency is the new currency. Thank you so much for our panelists, for the insights, and thank you for being a fantastic audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to the incredible audience. Thank you so much to the incredible speakers. मैं आप लोगों को request करूँगा to remain on stage. I'm going to be calling up on stage Mr. Jay Rathore, founder and CEO of Coffee Tech Communications, to please kindly come up on stage and give the token of appreciation to our esteemed speakers. Once again, give a big round of applause to Mr. Rathore as well, please, ladies and gentlemen. He's been a part of a panel earlier as well. Loves to share knowledge and insights, and has always got a beaming, wonderful smile on his face. Thank you so much. We'll do a nice group photo with all of you together. At the front, please, if I may request.